Welcome back to Benny's Custom Works, proudly supported by Valvoline and Sparesbox. Don't forget BCW5 on checkout. This week, we're back on the IS600. As you guys probably saw last episode at Summernats, we've hurt the engine. Now, there's a few theories on what's actually gone wrong with it. I think it's a big end bearing, but a lot of people in the know with LSs say it's a lifter. I don't know. We're going to pull it apart. We're going to pull it out, then we're going to pull it apart and see how we go. So let's dive into it. Oh my God, there's no coolant in it. That must be why it broke. Yep, there we go. Doesn't matter how many times you drain them, it'll always drop some more later. So you may be wondering why some things are already pulled off. In short, I have already started disassembling this because the main core of the video I want to actually cover today is more diagnosing the engine. So I thought undoing headers and stuff for 2 hours in front of the camera is not really that fruitful, shall we say. So yeah, the idea today is basically get it out and find out what's wrong with it. Then you guys know as well as me. Oh, my NASA battery coming out. That $500 spanner set just paid for itself. Still paying it off, but it paid for itself. Nailed it. I wonder if I was to hang off this gearbox, what would happen? Something sounds a bit squishy. Dip it good. Hey, look at that. Good to know. Ooh, spark. Ooh, that's piston. That's worse than I thought. That's more aggressive than I'd imagined. That's interesting too. The baffle plate from the sump's broken out. The supposed welded baffle is not welded. It's broken the welds. It's alright, it's not like it's a $2,500 sump or anything. You'd think it would smash valves. Unless the piston's literally just failed. Minimum's gonna need a crank and a couple of rods. And probably some pistons. All the secrets are about to be revealed. Ooh, hello, friend. It's legitimately like the piston's just failed. That piston's just got a smashed skirt. Like, doesn't make any sense. If that's got a smashed skirt, what's the lifter done? I wonder if that lifter is damaged and it's put some metal, and it's literally caught that piece of metal as it's come around between the crank See, I reckon that big end is failed. Oh, that's solid. That's odd. Interesting. I mean, that bearing's got hot, but it hasn't spun. Like, it's got chatter marks. It's got mad chatter marks because this one's failed, but I mean, the crank's f***ed. Like, you can feel that that's scored. So I reckon these bearings have been f***ed for ages. Because it's still a complete bearing. It's just on top of each other. Like, it's... The crank's not exposed at any point there. It's like the bearing's welded. It's like it's smeared the bearing around the crank. I mean, realistically, the crank's f***ed at this point anyway, but wow. It's actually interlocked that shell. Like, look at that. You know what though, with the big end failed, it could actually come down far enough in the bore that the rod could hit, that the piston, no, it can't. So what did it hit? You can score it. No, I thought the piston might actually hit the cam, but it can't. Oh, potentially with the bearing failed, it could hit the cam, I guess. It's been Subaruing itself for a while now. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure LS is LS themselves though. Like, I've done quite a few at the moment. Just, I don't know, they just decided that's it, I've had enough.
Well, this one had over 200,000 Ks on it. It was stolen recovered, so... Like, you can't expect the f***ing world out of it, like...
Nah.
That was a rod bolt. That rod bolt's bent. Good looking sparklies there. I feel like I'm a minor and not someone underage. Oh, the sparklies.
That is definitely what happens when you sit on limiter.
Yeah, Roger. So the piston skirts break on limiter.
Yeah.
Good to know. Noted. Do you have bits to fix it?
I reckon you would have slightly bent a rod.
Yeah, well, yeah, the rod's 100% bent because the cam cap doesn't go back. Oh, sorry, the big end doesn't go back on properly.
Yeah, so if you bend a rod in those things, which happens very easily on limiter, it then hits the skirt on the crank and snaps them off.
Well, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Smashing. Do I put standard pistons and rods back in this thing, or do I put something better in? So I've just had a chat to my good mate Adam from MPW down in Victoria. He does a ton with LS stuff. By all means, if you're in that area, go and check out his shop. It's pretty cool. But that's not the task at hand. So I mentioned to him that I smashed the piston skirt, and instantly he said that rod is bent. So little did I know, hanging 6 litres off the limiter does actually bend the rods. So I'm assuming that's because the fast acceleration and deceleration of the rod may make it distort. With that in mind, now I'm thinking we may actually put pistons and rods in this engine. I do have a second 6 litre, which is going to be more of a stopgap engine to get the car running again, because building engines takes time. Omar down at Empire is going to help me freshen up that first 6 litre, which we're going to chuck back in the car. And then this thing may turn into a little bit more of a serious build. We don't really know the cam specs of this thing. I got the numbers off the back of it a while ago and had a look online, but I found mixed results with the information. So I'm not sure exactly what cam we'll end up with. We'll probably put something from Kelford in it. We've used their stuff in the past and it's always had pretty good results. But yeah, we'll chuck that in and we'll come to that bridge when we cross it. And yeah, it's going to be, I think, just a piston and rod deal, just to maybe bring the comp up a bit and make it super reliable, because I don't really want to be doing this thing every 6 months. I also don't normally sit on the limiter, to be fair. This was at Summernats down Skid Row, so it was doing some pretty hard work. But yeah, as I said, I don't make a habit of sitting on the limiter when we're drifting because it does evidently break stuff. But with that in mind, we're pretty much just going to tidy it up, move some stuff around. I'm going to throw a different sump on this engine, the original VE sump, just to seal it up. The engine that came off this today, I've noticed actually the windage tray is actually broken out of it. So I'm going to get that repaired and obviously cleaned properly too. It's pretty filthy. It's full of piston and all sorts of weird junk. So gonna take it down to a local shop who's got a pretty fancy parts washer that does all sorts of dishwashing type things, and they're gonna give it a tidy up. But yeah, we're gonna shuffle some stuff around and then pack up and go home. Gotta keep your sandwiches fresh. Should just change this to Benny's broken stuff instead of Benny's custom works. There's not much custom been going on lately. Just breaking shit. Well, it's unfortunately pretty much as I'd predicted. We had a rod bearing fail, and it's sort of damaged the second bearing on that journal on a V8. Most of them are common journal, where 2 rods are on the same journal. So that's, the crank may be savable, but I'd much prefer to just get another secondhand good 6-litre crank. The rod is also bent on the cylinder that's done the big end. Also, the piston skirt is broken on that one as well. Luckily, it's broken because it hit the crank. It hasn't actually cocked in the cylinder and damaged anything. So while it's not ideal, it hasn't really damaged anything. I'm pretty confident that that bore is going to be fine with a hone. I mean, the whole thing's going to get honed anyway. At this point, this engine will most likely end up with pistons and rods, and a known cam and some ported heads and some good lifters and some other good stuff. I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole with this thing now far enough that it's going to need a bit of a birthday. I think I'll just go with the other 6-litre that I've got and give that a bit of a freshen up, and then this thing will get a full sort of do-over. I said before, I don't really sit on the limiter much, so hopefully we don't end up with a bent rod scenario again in the other engine. And once this one goes back in the car, we'll probably kind of do the same deal with the other one again and give it a full freshen up. But that's enough chat. We're gonna pack this thing up, we're gonna pack the car up, and we're gonna go home because I'm tired and covered in mush. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.